I welcome everybody with love and peace be with you. We'll start with a prayer of merging the heavens and the earth, which is a very important way to be able to integrate the events of the world and the events of our lives. Shimikud Kudashabihu Ushihente. Be evil laya, Jimiki Gulovke. Peter Sham Kozrael Kovam. Amen. Feel that merging of the heavens and earth within yourself. There's a teaching from Dostoevsky which says, without God, everything is permissible. Well, how true is that teaching? We're going to go back a little bit to the 1960s, when the rebellion against God overtly began. And it will go forward to about 2010. That's about a 50-year cycle. And let's look at the results. Were people more free or less free? Well, in that span of time, the rate of suicide for teenagers increased threefold. I don't know how much freedom that gives you. But we certainly know that the rate of suicide, rate of drug use, which is skyrocketed since that time, and America's a world leader in the use of opioids, kind of suggests a loss of meaning and value and purpose in people's lives. And then we have 4 times more violent crime than we did then in the 60s. And 5 times more people in jail. And 10 times more people depressed. I'm not sure that depression is the way to freedom. I'm just joking. So we see the results when we try to take God out of our consciousness. The results aren't so good. And right now, again, the U.S. leads the world in opioid use. It leads the world in teenage pregnancies. It goes on and on. So what's happening? Where is this leading us? Well, when we take God out of the picture, it gets a little messy. There's an old teaching. Martin Luther King, I think, said it. And I'm going to say it my way, though. When you know the cosmic truth, that cosmic truth will set you free. Now, that's what he was implying. But today, there's an awful lot of relative truths there that actually don't set us free, that actually bind us and keep us in misery. This is what I was explaining. So, okay, now, where does that take us? Well, as the society becomes more and more chaotic, there has been an overt increase in evil. And I'm saying it very pragmatically. Right now, Hollywood is not so silent about the fact that it's promoting cannibalism in their inner groups. And pedophilia. It's like, what? These are the signs of evil. Now, I don't want to get into it because it kind of brings me down talking about those things. Actually, it doesn't. I just witness it. But the fact is, that's what's going on. And we need to take a look at that. Because that chaos has to do with deception. It's called the big lie. That's how we bring deception into the world. And that's the power of evil, is to tell the big lie. Now, okay, what does that look like? Well, one way to tell the big lie And to force people to listen to it is called political correctness. It's evil uses the power of the corrupted word to control people. So political correctness, which is a social construct that people just make up to disempower people and empower themselves, then becomes political control. And if we take it a little further, PC also means the perversion of consciousness. That's what we're seeing in the world today. Perversion of consciousness. How did this come about? Well, we've been seeing it. You take the baseline of how to be in the world and you remove it, you can create whatever reality you want. And that's how we get the relative realities versus the cosmic reality that is aligned not only biblically, but the Yama and Niyamas and the Buddhist Eightfold Path, they're aligned with the cosmic reality. This struggle that I'm talking about, if we honor history and choose to learn from history rather than saying, as some people are doing today, history doesn't matter, the future doesn't matter, just whatever we think is right in the moment, which doesn't take us to a very good place further than chaos. We can go back to the time of Abraham and Nimrod, who was the first one-world dictator, or at least he tried to be. And he confronted Abraham. And he says to Abraham, hey, I'm God, and you should worship me. And Abraham, having a pretty good sense of humor, and being a lot deeper in understanding Nimrod, said, no problem, except for one thing. If you're really God, you need to make the sun rise in the west tomorrow morning. If you can do that, yes, I will worship you. Nimrod, being confronted with that reality, freaked out, and I will tell the rest of the story. But the point is, one way we can check about, quote, political correctness, if it takes us away from the realities of nature, the realities of the human nature. I want to make a point here. And it's a subtle point, but a very, very important point, is that Alexander Solzhenitsyn made this point when he made his talk in 1978 to Harvard. And who's Solzhenitsyn? He was a Nobel Prize winner in 1970, and he himself had spent 8 years in the Gulag and 3 years in prison because he confronted the whole Soviet communist system, and perhaps had the strongest effect in bringing it down because he was speaking the truth. And he never gave up speaking the truth, no matter if he was in jail or not. Mostly he was in jail. So what did he say? He said, humanists believe that humans are perfect, and the only problem is the societal design. So that's an error. Humans aren't perfect. Humans have an evil side. What's new? And that is the truth. And this is the key here in understanding it, that evil side needs to be elevated back into goodness, which means spiritual discipline, which means spiritual practice, which means how we raise our kids, how we raise ourselves, needs to have and bend our will to the divine will, where we have moral and ethical and spiritual alignment with the bigger picture. Very important. Speck, in his book, People of the Lie, says the same thing. He says, the issue of People of the Lie is that people are so egoistic that they believe their will is bigger than the divine will. That's what we're talking about. That's what's going on now in the world today. And those egoistic people feel that they can set the political correctness for other people. And the truth is, as they say, it becomes a perversion of consciousness. Nimrod, who tried to do this with Abraham, that is like 4,000 years ago, or 3,800 years ago. So this is not a new idea. Not a new idea. This has been going on since the time of the flood. Okay? An example of that makes a point is in George Orwell's book, 1984, The Ministry of Truth. What does he say here? He says, war is peace. Intelligence is ignorance. All these reversals. And that's what's known as the perversion of political correctness in order to control people. Saul Alinsky said the biggest power we have in enforcing political correctness is the power of shame and ridicule, which we clearly understand that today as is being played out in this country. But he's wrong. Why was he wrong? Because the biggest power is what Mao did. If people didn't agree with his view of what he wanted to believe, he killed them. 80 to 100 million people. That's like a lot of people. That makes Hitler look like a little child here. Stalin, he killed 66 million people. And who gets killed? The people who wouldn't agree with their political correctness. So we need to take a look at that because political correctness only works if you can enforce it. Here in this country we enforce it by shame and boycotts and so forth. But it leads us. It makes us vulnerable to the power of darkness. Okay, so what to do? I mean, I've explained the problem, I've explained the issue. What to do? How do we turn this around? I go back to Alexander Solzhenitsyn, and his cure, which is what he did, which is we brought forth and transformed Russia, one person, spiritual courage, social courage. My goodness. And he showed it. And that example of that social and spiritual courage transformed consciousness. That puts it right back onto us. Are we willing to have the social and spiritual courage to stand up to the big lie? Now, as we go a little bit further, and that's something that we need to bring God back into the center of our lives, and along with that, the cosmic perennial truths. In the Torah, we talk about the 10 speakings, the Nami and Niyamas and Yoga, the Buddhist Eightfold Path. In other words, there are real cosmic frameworks that have been here for thousands of years, and they bring order, morality, ethics to society so that we can evolve spiritually. There has to be some stability in order to evolve spiritually, which is the name of the game. So this whole discussion is, how do we create a safe space to evolve spiritually? And so, as we conclude here, it's like, it's up to us. The path is there, bringing God back in. When society, the evil voices that try to take God out, following the divine guidances that are out there for us. And it's up to us if we can answer the one question: do we have the spiritual courage to bring this back into the cosmic reality? And in that way, when we know the cosmic truth and we act on that cosmic truth will set us free. Blessings to everyone, and may everyone be empowered that we have that spiritual courage to realign ourselves with the cosmic truth of the divine. Amen, amen, amen. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Atakulasa.